Phillies have won the National League pennant.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball. The 3-0 pitch, swing and long drive. There it is, number 500, the career 500th home run for Michael Jack Smith.
The base is loaded. 1 out. Got deep to right field. Second and
Welcome to the fan lot.
Tell you what, I wish we would have had a whole hell of a lot more of those home runs up to the second deck this fucking series. That would have been nice.
I am so upset. I'm so disappointed.
You know what? I had a whole day to think about this, and yeah, I'm not in any better of a headspace than I was fucking last night. So, you know, it's
not at all. I like refuse to put on my jersey. I refuse to put on my hat. I'm like, no, they don't get that from me today.
I'll still wear the shirt, but yeah, I'm not. It's yeah.
Oh, my heart was broken. It is still broken.
Yeah, it's definitely a letdown. I don't think any of us really thought that it was going to end with those guys, especially with how well we performed against the Braves. I felt like this was it was a lock, and man, to be proven wrong fucking sucks.
Yeah, I for sure thought the Phillies had it. There was no doubt in my mind. So that was shocking.
Yeah, it, you know, it's oh man, to rise to the occasion like they did, and to take the first wild card, and you know they swept the first one, and they did all these things right. They beat the Braves, and they did it effectively. I mean, they essentially shut them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part that part sucks. It's definitely you know, I said that we were going to beat Arizona in 5, and then every fucking night I felt like I was kicking the can down the road. I was like, okay, well maybe we do it in 6, and I'll be honest, I was not optimistic. I said, especially after losing Game 6, I was like, I'm not feeling as great about this as I was. You know, less than a week ago. So yeah, this one's definitely a rough one. But you know, I've come to terms with it. I'm a Philadelphia fan. So it's too much of a cultural norm in Philadelphia to get so close and to fall short. So, you know, I'm trying to do this with as much grace and decorum as possible, Rach. So
Fair enough.
Don't try and get me to fucking rage out here, because that's not going to
happen. Deal. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the dugout. Hi, Righteous Felon. You can use promo code OCSN for 15% off the best beef jerky around, and any orders over $50 gets you free shipping. So check them out, guys. So yeah, we went all the way to Game 7. We won games 1 and 2. Game 2 was a beast. That was a shutout. 10-0.
It was.
I mean, that was wild. At that point, I think every Philadelphia fan was so high after that game.
And oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Oh,
Yeah.
how they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, game one we won 5-3. Then we went to Arizona. We lost both of those games except for the third one. Well, I mean the third one in Arizona, and
Right.
then we lost both back home. And that's right there was where I thought we were gonna take it all, was back at home.
Yeah, I mean, with the what's up, Star Wars 99? How are you, bud? And
Yeah.
yeah, I think we'll get back there. I think me and Rachel probably touch on it at some point, but I think there's some pieces that need to get put into place to make this more of an effective team down the stretch for sure. But yeah, with the perceived home field advantage that the Phillies had, I mean, the atmosphere here was, you know, it was talked about nationally in regards
Yes.
to the way Phillies fans were acting and reacting and how much they embraced it. And um you know I think last year I think it took everybody by surprise. You know what I mean? I think so like I don't know that everybody was necessarily all in with them, and then I don't think it really caught fire about what it was we had and how special it was until they had actually went to the World Series, and that's when it finally when everything caught fire. But with this, everybody was watching the Phillies. I mean, people were like opening day sellouts and like all these things, and the everybody embraced it, and it they get up to that point, and we were like, okay, they're making the playoffs for the first wild cards, and then like all these things were starting to fall into place, and and then to be let down, obviously,
Yeah,
in spectacular fashion. That's the crazy part. Um,
certainly was.
yeah.
Brandon's with us. He says, "What's up, guys? Why the fuck wasn't Walker used once during the series?" Is my question. So I don't know. Also, if you guys have been following some of the Phillies communities on Face or on Twitter, but Walker was out there liking and reposting some tweets that made it seem like he was very unhappy with Rob Thompson.
I'm unhappy with Rob Thompson, so his feelings
Yes.
mutual.
Yes, there's been a bit of a shitstorm going on over that. But yeah, I don't know. We don't know where he was. I don't know why he wasn't used. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. I thought that he was going to get the nod over Sanchez going into game 4. I was like, okay, that's you know even if Rob went down the route of splitting time between the two in that game 4 situation and utilizing it in that sense, I was like, okay, maybe that's the route. And then obviously, got fucking proven wrong on that too. So you know, it's yeah, I don't get it either. I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, I was upset with a lot of the decisions that he made for this series.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I hope that he can really take full responsibility for that and figure out a new way going forward because it was just unacceptable.
No, don't
What's
get
up,
me wrong.
Tino?
What's up, Tino? What's up, bud? Don't get me wrong. There's some other blame to go around. Um,
Oh yes, for sure.
I don't know where the fuck the bats went and why they went non-existent. Um,
Yeah. No,
will you
they
guys
went from
still
red
watch
hot to
the
ice cold.
will I
Um,
still watch the series? No, probably not.
I will because I love baseball, so I will be watching it.
No,
But it's
probably will
going
not.
to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, I will. Honestly, if the Phillies hadn't made the playoffs, I would watch this. If the Phillies didn't make it to the NLCS, I would watch the World Series all in. I'd be wholeheartedly watching it because I think World Series baseball is fantastic. But the
Mhm.
fact that we fell short, I won't. I
Too
I mean,
soon.
I might.
Too soon.
Yeah, I mean, I might tune in to if it gets down to like game 7 and it's do or die game and they're both even, then maybe I'll check it out just to see who wins. But I mean, I'm not going to be emotionally invested or watch any of it with with eager eyes. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way.
Who would you say was your player of the series?
Do I have to pick one?
Yes, you have to pick one. I know. It was a struggle for me, and I went in a different direction than what I typically do.
Ranger Suarez.
Really?
I feel like, I mean, I could even go Zach Wheeler.
That's who I chose. I picked Zach Wheeler.
Yeah, I mean, I could go either of those two. I felt like, Ranger was put on a limited pitch count. Rob didn't want to use him deep into the games. And I think it ultimately ended up being to his detriment. But I think Ranger kept us all in both of the games that he played.
He did get one L. He was awarded
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Zach
which
Wheeler was not.
yeah. I mean, you could go either way. I mean, yeah, I mean, I could go Ranger Suarez or Zach Wheeler. That's kind of where I'm at. I can't give it to any hitter. I mean,
I was
because
just gonna
once
ask.
you go past game 2, you can fucking everything was a wash.
Because Star Wars 99 says Kyle Schwarber. So I was gonna ask you if you had to pick an offensive player. I think honestly mine would probably be JT.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean JT's probably the safe bet. Rice was swinging at garbage. Stott was swinging at garbage.
They were all swinging at garbage in these
Cass,
last couple games.
I don't know what the hell happened to Casty. He just completely disappeared. Trey was a non-factor.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah,
It was terrible.
Definitely can't give it to Rojas. I mean, Brandon Marsh got on base a lot, but without Rojas getting hits, I mean, it really doesn't fucking matter, does it? So it it's difficult.
Yeah.
JT, I guess. I
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Why don't we go ahead and move along to pitcher's poison?
Yeah. Oh boy.
You buy Diet Smoke, you can get the best Delta 8 gummies. Use code OCSN for 15% off your first order at dietsmoke.com. I'm a big fan, guys. They work. Just saying.
Oh, we know from last week.
This is true. Oh, Brandon, I see your question. That's something I'm going to discuss in a little bit. But it's a great question. All right, so let's talk about Wheeler first. I just combined all the games is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I mean we'll be here all night if we break this down game by game. So
yes,
yeah,
exactly. So total, Wheeler went 14.2 innings pitched. He had 9 hits with 3 runs, 3 earned runs. He walked 2 guys. He had 17 strikeouts, gave up 2 home runs. That was 200 pitches. And his ERA is a 1.95. He was awarded 2 Ws. I mean, Wheeler.
It's the only one. I mean, yeah, like I was kind of high on Ranger Suarez, but there's also a big reason why Ranger has already been labeled as pretty effective in the postseason. But yeah, with Wheels, I mean, the statistic line kind of talks for itself.
Yeah,
the dude is he's the ace on this team.
He is.
You can't call Nola the ace anymore. I don't know how this argument continued for as long as it did. Wheels took this and really kind of harnessed it and is, I think, probably the only reason that we are even talking about the fact that we even made it to a game 7. Because if it was anybody else out there, we'd have been in a shit spot. If it was
Yes.
Aaron Nola, Ranger, Suarez, Sanchez, and Walker, we could be talking about something completely different here, and we'd be sitting here upset that we lost. It lost the series in 5 as opposed to 7. So
Correct.
that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's Wheels is the reason we made it as far as we have. So yeah,
I agree.
opinion.
I think that's why I picked him as player of the series. I think that he was fantastic. He did exactly what we needed him to do. Even in last night's game, being like a relief pitcher, he did amazing.
Right.
Literally no complaints. He could not have done better. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't matter how good you pitch, but if our guys ain't going to hit the ball, and that's this is kind of a testament to that.
Yes.
In regards to this one, so yeah, Wheels is definitely it. He's the guy, and I'm optimistic that he continues to be that effective going forward for us. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So someone that I'm not optimistic about moving forward, Aaron Nola. He had 10.1 innings with 9 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. He also gave up 2 home runs. He threw 164 pitches. His ERA is a 2.35. He was awarded 1 win and 1 loss. What's up, Sean?
Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at, right?
Yeah, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. It's it, and to be honest with you, he very well might get paid money at some other place because they need somebody like him. If he was willing to come back to the Phillies on a discounted price to fill that third pitcher role, then have at it. Come back and play, and you can be the third pitcher. But I think that the Phillies are selling themselves short if they don't go after another guy to be the number 2 guy in this rotation, because that was just he essentially did not prove why it was that he wanted the money that he wants, and these contract negotiations are not going to go as well as I think he thinks they will.
I really hope not.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he did great in game 2. I mean, like I said, it was a shutout. Obviously, the offense was hot that day. But that last game, like, that's probably his last game ever pitching as a Philly, and he was horrible, absolutely horrible. Yeah,
I'm numb. I'm kind of numb to him and the bullshit. He was a non-factor all pretty much regular season. I mean, there was little flashes in there that he was we're finally getting the Nola that we've always obviously he was great in October going into Red October. He looked like everybody was high praise and everybody was ready to but at this point it's he's proving that he's not worth the money that he thinks that he's worth, and I'm ready to just kind of move on from the situation unless he's willing to significantly lower what his value is and take a back seat to Wheels, and I don't necessarily know that he's comfortable doing that. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, and that's where it's gonna. I think he's gonna remain to have that chip until the very end. So
yeah, I've been saying this all season is I don't think Aaron Nola wants to come back. I really don't.
I don't. No, he doesn't seem like he enjoys being here.
Yeah.
It's and I don't know that they necessarily focus on the pitchers in regards to the reactions to when things go right with the team. Like everybody's doing the Major League 2 thing, and all the players are out there doing it. They obviously never focus on the pitcher in that regard when those celebrations are happening, because that's not what typically the focus is on in those type of situations. But I don't see him as the type of guy to be standing up at the rail, like clapping on his teammates and having a good time when everything was going right. He strikes me as kind of the guy that sits in the corner and waits for his opportunity to go back out and
Yep.
and throw the ball again. So
Yeah.
he's just not. It, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on and talk about Suarez. So he had 10 innings pitched. He had 9 hits, 3 runs, and 3 earned runs. He only walked one guy. He
Mhm.
had 13 strikeouts, no home runs. He threw 144 pitches. His ERA was only a 1.93, but he did get the L.
Yeah. I think it was just an unfortunate circumstance of the low score in that game. It was just the nature of that. But I think that Ranger was highly effective. I'm looking forward to him getting the rehab done this season in the off season and getting back to the ability to be able to pitch, deep into games, 7 innings, and really getting that pitch count back up. But I have a soft spot for Ranger. I like his calm, cool demeanor, and I think that he is exactly what you want in the postseason. Somebody that's very level headed, and he seemed to maintain that. And he every now and again you'd see him crack a smile, and it was one of them things that I think he generally enjoys being here, and I hope that he remains here.
I agree.
And he builds back up that strength to be back in the starting rotation on a regular basis, as opposed to that last half of the season like he was.
Right. And
Yeah.
the one thing I love too about Ranger is nobody as a pitcher, nobody fields their position like Ranger does. He is so good with that on the mound, with the defense.
Very effective. Yeah.
Yes,
Very
I love it.
Yeah.
Not something I
Yep.
definitely want to lose.
Yeah. No, he is very effective. The way he follows through on his pitches, it gives him that ability to be able to do it. So his mechanics are very solid in regards to how the way he positions himself to make it, to give him the ability to be able to make those plays and get over to first base and do all the things that he does so well, which it actually ended up proving to be pretty essential in some aspects, because I think there were a couple of times where Bryce got caught out there in the middle of between the first and second base making a play, and Ranger was over there to make a couple of outs. So yeah, he's definitely effective in the defensive aspect of it as well. So
Absolutely.
yep.
All right. Well, next up, we've got Sanchez. He had 2.1 innings with 2 hits and 2 runs. He had 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. He threw 38 pitches. His ERA is at 3.86. Thoughts on Sanchez?
I didn't. I mean, I guess I see what Rob's thought process was with adding with making him the 4th starter.
I don't know. I'm confused about it.
I
I really thought it would have been Walker.
Sanchez and Walker. I mean, they were interchangeable. You honestly could have gone either way. I thought that he was going to go with Walker. And I mean, I don't know. I think he just likes the kid. It's Walker's a little bit more. I don't know. I
I
don't
do
know what
think
Rob.
Walker's a bit more emotional at the mound, but I feel
I
like he has better stuff.
I and that's kind of where I'm at with it, because I think that's exactly what Rob's thought process was. Rob's thought process was that if Walker were to get himself into a jam, he's going to react, and it could potentially um, cause more of a significant problem. Whereas Sanchez, at least he doesn't display it, but he doesn't display as much emotion, to your point. And I think that's essentially what I guess in this situation you want to have somebody that's going to be even keel
Yeah.
when he's facing danger, but it's
Do
it's
you think it was the wrong choice?
no,
Okay.
because he made some wrong choices later on in down into these fucking games. So no, I don't think that it was a wrong choice. Like I said, I think you could have went either way with this. You could have went Kim or Walker. You could have went Sanchez. I don't know that it was necessarily a wrong choice in regards to the starting pitching.
Mhm.
For any of them, I think all five of them could have been effective in the starting role. It's the management of the bullpen from thereafter that was the problem and proved and ended up being to our detriment. So
Yes.
yeah,
Fair enough. All right, well, let's talk about Dominguez. He went 2.2 innings. He had 2 hits with 1 run. He had 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. He threw 52 pitches, and his ERA is 0. He did not earn any runs, so he did what he was supposed to do.
right.
What? What is the
I
face?
you know what I he's been the most frustrating pitcher through this whole entire season. And I'm looking at the season as a whole because Kimbrel was the most frustrating in the postseason, but Dominguez has been the most frustrating on the season as a whole because he's not consistent at all. You cannot you lack the ability to be able to plug this guy into situations because you know that he's effective because you don't know that he's going to be effective the next time that situation comes around because it's completely different shit. He throws a completely different ball. The mechanics go out the fucking window, and he proved to be effective, or on paper he looked to prove to be effective. But I think that was just the nature of the way Rob was rotating people in and out.
Mhm.
It prevented Dominguez from being hit with the earned run in that regard. But I don't know that is Dominguez still on contract
I
through
think so.
next year?
I'm not
I
actually
wouldn't be
sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if he would if he's still on the team. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets lumped into some kind of trade to bring somebody else in.
Definitely
I think
possible.
that he would. I think that he would be one of the ones that's one of the first ones to go. Um, just just based off of just based off of everything because it's he's not. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets lumped into some kind of trade value. In I just he's been very frustrating for me
Yeah.
all season long. So
Well, let's talk about Alvarado, who has been a fan favorite. I love Alvarado. I think he did amazing.
I do.
He had
Yep.
4 innings pitched. He had 5 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, and 1 walk. He had 2 strikeouts. He threw 46 pitches, and his ERA is a 1.13. He was fantastic.
Great.
Mhm.
I mean, the unfortunate situation is that Rob has become so predictable in regards to how he's going to use these guys and in what order he's going to use them in. That you almost kind of wonder why wouldn't you use Alvarado in a closing situation? I get it; he can be a little bit wild. He throws some high heat shit, and
Yes, he
and
does.
and it can it becomes difficult to catch for I think JT when he starts to get into these end ports of the game and he's getting exhausted from being behind the plate for that long and he's fielding 200 something pitches a game. Um, it can be difficult, but um, I think that he became too predictable in his use, and he was effective and great, and I'm glad that he's part of the team. But it's going to be they got to figure out another situation and a better situations to put him in, as opposed to it being as predictable as it's become.
And I will say, overall, like season wise, he had a fantastic season.
Great year.
I mean,
Great all year long.
Yeah, no complaints at all.
No, he's probably one of the only ones I really don't have complaints with, him and Wheels.
Well, I'll tell you who I have a lot of complaints with, Tommy, and that would be Mr. Craig Kimbrell.
He can fucking kick rock.
Oh boy, he went 3 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. He gave up a home run. That was 81 pitches. His ERA is a 6.0. He was awarded 1 save. He was awarded 2 losses. We were already up. We already had the 2 games in this series. We literally lost it, those 2 losses that he got us.
Right.
And if it was not for him, we would be in the World Series today.
Right.
And it's bullshit that Rob left him. I'm going to get pissed. It's bullshit that Rob left him in there and then did it again the next day.
This is what I was getting at with this whole. Rob has become predictable in the way that he manages these games, and Kimbrel hasn't been effective in closing all of postseason, and that's this isn't like this is a one-off. The writing has been on the wall. And
quite a few times, JT had to hurry up and get a timeout to prevent him from getting a pitch time violation.
I've been fucking telling you.
I know.
Since the beginning of postseason, I'm like, this guy is really getting on my fucking nerves with this, because here's another problem with him. Okay, you put this man into a closing situation, and Rob did it. I think there was the first game, I think he put him in there with 2 men left on.
I think so.
And I can't remember, but you can essentially rule Kimbrel out from being able to throw over to a bag because of the stupid fucking setup thing that he has to do to be able to pitch a ball. He's not going to be able to throw over to first base to be able to get a runner to go back. So at this point, you are relying on the fact that the ball needs to get to JT as quick as possible in order for JT to be able to throw it down to second base to be able to get an out. Now, I don't understand how when Rob uses him in these situations, if you're only up by a run, maybe 2 runs, and you got guys on fucking base, you need to use somebody else, somebody that has the ability to be able to the robot arm. That fucking stupid. I kind of wish that Phillies fans still would have made fun of him and still did the robot arm thing like they did fucking years ago when he was. But you're essentially guaranteeing that these guys are going to put themselves into scoring position by putting this guy in there, because half the Arizona Diamondbacks team was quick. You had Carroll, you had Marte, and the one other cat. I can't fucking remember his name. I can't remember. But you're guaranteeing that these guys are going to get into scoring position. Yeah. And then his pitch, I don't understand. It has become so fucking predictable in regards to the pitching position. You know that when he throws the robot arm up, it's going to come in, and then the ball is going to go from right to left into the bottom left-hand corner, and that it's almost guaranteed that it's going to be a ball. And I mean, I watched him pitch this, and he did it 5 fucking pitches in a row.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you going to change this at all? And I don't think it has anything to even do with JT. I think this is literally – Craig was literally just throwing the exact same fucking pitch over and over again in the hopes that he was going to get these guys to chase. And because he's become so fucking predictable in the pitches that he's going to throw, it was easy. This was a fucking field day for them. And the fact that, to your point, the fact that Rob rolled him back out there again the next night with the
Yes.
almost essentially the exact same situation.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why? Why
It made
now?
no sense.
It made no sense at all. I didn't get it. He wasn't effective in the games against the Braves. You chose to use him in game 3. Fine. Let's see if he has figured out a way to beat it. You didn't figure out a way to beat it. You just lost. Chalk it up as a loss. Go into game 4 and win the fucking thing. You were up 2 runs.
Yep.
And then you do it again and you blew it again.
Yep.
Like, the logic behind it makes no fucking sense at all. And
It was infuriating.
It's the predictability to Rob when he gets into these situations because, oh, well, this is what got us here. I'm going to continue to use that. Hate to break it to you, boss, but everybody that's in the playoffs is going to figure out ways to outmanage you. You need to fucking change something. And you chose not to do it. Whether that meant using Lorenzen, who you didn't fucking use till the game 6 or game 5.
Yeah, he was only used one time.
Right. And then you didn't use Soto that often. I mean, you had so many pitchers at your fucking disposal and you chose to stick with the same 4 fucking people that you've been using all year because that's where you're comfortable at. And it makes absolutely no sense to me. And Kimbrel and you see the result. Kimbrel's your closer, but he can't close a fucking game for the life of him when it came to the postseason at all.
Yeah,
So,
I think I fully blame Kimbrel's performance for losing and not getting into the World Series. Obviously, after those 2 games, I think like the offense was just done, and they proved it. And it was a shit show. I'm just gonna put it like that.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Hoffman. He went 6 innings with 4 hits. He had 8 strikeouts, 77 pitches. His ERA is a 2.57. But no runs, no nothing.
I like Hoffman.
I
think that he's got a bright future with this team, and he's going to end up being a really big piece of this bullpen. With Surian, I think with Dominguez getting ready to probably take a walk, either via trade or potentially released, depending on how this all shakes out. Hoffman is going to be a key piece to this bullpen going forward. So I no complaints about Hoffman.
I think he did fantastic.
Yeah, he's proven his worth, and I'm totally down for keeping him. So
I completely agree with everything you just said. Moving on to Strom, he had only I was kind of confused why we didn't use Strom a little bit more. He only had 3 innings. He gave up 1 hit, no runs. He walked 1 guy. He had 4 strikeouts, 63 pitches. His ERA is 0. Why were we not using Strom?
Because Rob is stuck in his ways. That's why.
Oh my God, I'm so angry.
He pulled a fucking Joe Girardi.
Oh.
He pulled a Joe Girardi.
He kind of did.
Yeah.
I can agree with that statement. Oh, man. Let's talk about the rookie, Kirkering. He went 2.1 innings with 6 hits. He had 2 runs, 2 earned runs, and 2 walks. 4 strikeouts with 61 pitches. His ERA is a 3.38. For this kid to be a rookie, this is his first ever postseason major league. I think he did fantastic.
Yeah.
He did.
He there was
the pressure.
I think Rob put too much pressure on him. I think Rob was expecting a lot of what he saw towards the end of the season, and the effectiveness that the kid had coming into this, and was hoping that this kid was going to kind of be the unfamiliar for a lot of these teams. There wasn't a lot of there was no scouting to be able to be done to be able to figure out, when he does this, we know that he's going to do that and all these things. So I think the hope was that he was going to be mysterious to a lot of these guys, and that ultimately ended up not being the case. I think that I think Rob put him into some unfortunate situations that he probably could have used some of the other guys that he had at his disposal in a more with a more with a lot more experience. And I think that was, you want to use Kirkering to close out, we got to get one fucking out. Okay, go ahead. But
right.
I
Like
think
game 2, that was perfect.
right. That was fine. But then you put him back in there again, and I think it was game 3 or 4. I can't remember which one. But you put him back out there, and he didn't look like he was as comfortable because of the situation that they were in, and it showed. So it's, he is going to grow into it. It's playoff experience. It's good value added in regards to the playoff experience, but it's, Rob is, yeah. Yep. It's the kid is got a bright future, but I don't know that he was necessarily used effectively in the playoff situations he was put into.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, another guy that was heavily underutilized was Soto. He went 1.1 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 23 pitches. His ERA is a 6.00. But in this series, he did well when we saw him.
I should have been used more.
I agree. And I kind of think like his past performance in the postseason in like the other games kind of probably prevented Rob from using him more, but he was great when we saw him in this series.
Yeah, it's it's yeah, I agree with you. He was definitely, he seemed to be great during the periods that we've seen him in, at least in this series, and yeah, underutilized again, because we stuck with the same 4 people as per usual. So.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, the last pitcher we have to talk about is Lorenzen, who was only used for 1.2 innings. He had 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 19 pitches. Again, ERA 0.00. Why was he not in the game?
Should have used him more. We were very high on this guy because of the no-hitter and all that.
And then he fell. He fell really hard after that no-hitter.
He fell from grace. That's to be expected. But what you also have is somebody that's experienced, and somebody that has that had the ability to be able to go deeper into some of these games. He's somebody that was a starting pitcher for you at one point, and you kind of relinquished him back to the the relief pitcher role. But you know that this guy has the ability to be able to go at least 3 or 4 innings. So why are we? It got to the point where Rob was like, okay, 1 inning here, 1 inning there, and he was trying to spread this out, and there was a lot like we've already said it. There was a lot of guys at his disposal that he chose not to use, and I'm not really fucking sure I understand why. And that's the most frustrating part about this. I don't understand why.
Yep. Yeah, my takeaway from this whole series is that Topper and Kimbrel lost this for us. That's my takeaway.
Well, I mean, the bats didn't fucking help,
but they were there in the games that, like those first 4 games, we had it. They were there then. It was those last 3 where the offense.
Yeah, I think 1 and 2 they had it. I think 3 and 4 left a little something to be desired, but we can obviously break that down in the next segment because
yes,
yeah.
So. Let's get into it. Warlord Men's Grooming Essentials. Visit their website, www.warlordbeardoil.com, and use promo code OCSN15 for 15% off your beard products. I finally got to smell some of these things, and they are amazing. They smell so good. I don't remember the exact name, of the one, but it has something tobacco in it.
Yeah,
That
that
one,
was the one. It's the one that Jesse keeps telling me I gotta get my hands on.
that is
So
the best smelling one, Tommy.
is it
Hands
okay?
down. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't obviously don't have a beard, but they got all kinds of other stuff that I can get. So it's
True.
yeah. So
All right. Start with Schwarbs. He had 22 at bats, 8 runs, 8 hits, 5 RBIs, 5 home runs, 8 walks, of course, the most out of anyone on the team. He had 7 strikeouts. His average is at .255.
yeah, I mean, now I can kind of see, I guess, where Star Wars 99 was saying Schwarbs.
Uh-huh.
He I think he tried to do everything in his power.
Yeah.
But the thing with Schwarbs is his batting average stayed below 200 pretty much the whole year for a fucking reason.
It did.
And it
But he was one of the most walked players in the season, which
he
obviously
was
doesn't help your batting average.
and then I mean his season stats were fantastic. I mean, I think he's I'm pretty sure he's going to end up going into the record books for I think number of home runs in a postseason. I think he surpassed Reggie Jackson in this series alone. So he is fantastic. I think that the Phillies need to figure out a place for him. I don't know that obviously we've talked about this till we were
Yeah.
fucking blue in the face whether or not he needs to be the number 1 hitter on the fucking team or if he needs to
I
be the
stand
number
by
2.
that. I stand by
And
the leadoff guy.
look, and it's fine. He's getting us runs in that position or he gets himself on base and that's great. But
Exactly.
we need to figure out a fucking way for this dude to be able to try and hit the ball at the number 3 or 4 position and get us potentially more run support with his big bat. And I don't know if it's just because he's getting the pitch that he wants, being the first batter out there and doing all these things, but he's I don't know. It really honestly it doesn't matter once you get past the first inning because it's at that point it's
Yep.
you know what I mean. It's the lineup's going to be shaken up no matter what way you do it because a different person is going to lead off every inning. But
Yes.
it's just one of them things that if the dude's gonna is prone to hitting dingers on the fucking first inning, then we need to figure out a way to get more run support for hitting those fucking dingers in the first inning. And he was fine. It was a rough series for all of them, honestly.
Yeah. Brandon says, I'm with Rachel and that Schwartz needs to stay at the first batter. Yeah, I do. I really do think that. All right, well, let's move on to Turner. He had the most at-bats of anybody, so that's even more disappointing. He had 25 at-bats with 4 runs, 5 hits, 2 RBIs, only 1 home run from Trey Turner. He had 3 walks with 4 strikeouts. His average is a .347. What was he swinging at last night?
He was swinging at hot fucking garbage. Or gnats.
Awful.
I mean, I don't know what he was swinging at. I really don't. The thing with Trey is you need to get this dude on base because you're almost guaranteeing that you have the ability to be able to get to second base.
Yes, he's so fast.
Because he's been fantastic throughout the whole entire postseason in regards to he's been thrown out once. And I think that happened in this series, which is the first time he's been thrown out all year.
Yes.
The most important thing is getting this dude on base, and when he's swinging at the shit that he's swinging at, you're basically you could just rule that out at this point. And at that point, you're either putting Harper on base with nobody on, or you're putting Harper up to bat with nobody on, or you're putting him on base with Schwarber, who runs like he's got a fucking stick up his ass. So
It's so
Trey, I don't know what Trey's deal was. The one home run I think happened in game 2, right?
yeah,
When everybody was hitting fucking home runs.
everybody.
Yeah, it was yeah. So Trey Turner's he looked like the Trey Turner from the beginning of the year.
I thought the exact same thing, and it was so frustrating to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brandon says, I say Schwartz runs like Jack Sparrow. He totally does.
He does. He does.
All right, well, let's move on to Harper. And Star Wars posted a comment earlier. I'll put it up now. He says, when Bryce Harper goes cold, the team goes cold. Honestly, this is why I was mad the Braves pitched to him in key spots. So, Harper had 23 at-bats. He had 7 runs, 5 hits, 3 RBIs, 2 home runs, 6 walks, and 6 strikeouts. His average is a .286. What happened?
The Diamondbacks rendered him ineffective. They walked him. They walked him in situations that I don't. Yeah, I trying to remember if they ever really, if it was an intentional walk, but I think there was a couple of times in there where he was walked, but it looked like it was essentially done on purpose.
Right.
Because they basically rendered him ineffective in that regard, and knowing that Bohm was coming up next, and you know how he's ebbed and flowed for pretty much the whole fucking season. You essentially made Bryce take a back seat in all this, and it good, bad, or indifferent, you took the wind out of the sails of the Phillies when you made Bryce Harper not having the ability to be able to hit the ball. I mean, you said 23 at bats and 7 hits.
5 hits, 7 runs.
That's So they were putting him on base because they knew that the next guy wasn't going to be able to fucking get him in to run.
Yeah.
And so they made him a non-factor. And
last night he had that hit that was so close where it's like for a split second you got hope, and then it was immediately taken away.
Yep.
And he did a post-game interview talking about that one too, and you could just see it in his face that he was just utterly disgusted with himself.
Yeah. I mean, it was I think the frustrations mounted for him, and I think I saw it. Was it inning? I think he struck out in inning 7. I think it was the end of 7 that I think he ended up striking out. And now I think it was his last at bat, because I think the last out ended up being Trey Turner, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember.
The last out of the game or of the inning?
Yeah. Of the 9th inning wasn't it Trey? I don't know if they got back around. Oh, it was Cave. Yeah. So they actually ended up pitch hitting for was it Pache at that point?
Yes.
So they put Jay Cave in for Pache, which I will talk about that because I don't fucking understand that one either. But Bryce, that at the end of the 7th inning, I think that you could see it on his fucking face. He's like, I think we might have just lost this game just based off of what just happened.
Yeah.
So he is. I think he wanted it so bad for the city. He's captured the heart and soul of this city. He says it every time that he gets on camera how much he loves playing here, and I think it just pissed him off. I think it really chapped his ass that he ended up being removed as a factor in all this. So it just sucks. He's definitely frustrated.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think he's actually supposed to be on WIP tomorrow, and I actually kind of want to listen to it just to see how he's how how he's feeling about all of it still.
Yeah,
Probably stressed off, I imagine.
I'm sure. Let's move on to Bohm, who had 22 at bats. He had 3 runs, 7 hits, 3 RBIs, 1 home run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. His average is a .239. Bohm has struggled. He did get us that home run last night.
Okay.
But that was pretty much it. His defense, though. His defense has been great.
Yeah, he's been fine. And he's here for his bat. He's not here for his fucking fielding. This guy was supposed to be the power guy that we've been, hoping to get back with, similar to the likes of like Pat Burrow and shit. And that's proven not to be the case. His home run was the first time that it actually looked like he was comfortable being up at the fucking batter's box.
Yeah, you definitely saw his frustrations grow at every at
Yeah,
bat. He broke his bat
at the next fucking at bat. So
in the
it's
dugout. Yeah,
right. So it's becoming this thing. He's probably one of the most streakiest hitters on this fucking team.
He is pretty streaky.
And when I say streaky, I mean from one inning to the next, because you can't even say that he's streaky in a series because it's never been consistent.
Right. It is what it is. Let's move on to Stott. He had 25 at-bats, 2 runs, 6 hits, 2 RBIs. He had 2 walks with 4 strikeouts. His average was also a .239. I was kind of frustrated with Stott. I expected more out of him.
I think we all did after seeing how effective he was in the first 2 series. I thought
I was expecting
Stott to be. Now there were a couple of great plays that he made defensively that, the Gold Glove status that he's working towards. I think I don't want to say it's a lock because, you never know what MLB writers and their fucking semantics and how they pick these things, but Stott was it was frustrating for me too. I was because he was one of the ones that I was like, okay, you can almost kind of guarantee that he's going to get on base, but then he was swinging at fucking garbage in the dirt, way outside. I mean, he was not seeing the ball at all.
No,
like at all.
No, it was it's painful to watch.
Yeah, really painful.
All right, let's move on to JT. He had 27 at bats with 4 runs, 7 hits, 6 RBIs, 1 home run, and 8 strikeouts. His average is a .265.
See, now I'm kind of rethinking. I'm rethinking the offensive MVP because 8 strikeouts is not great.
It's not great at all. He did have the most RBIs, so I do give him that. But the strikeouts, and sadly though, with like saying 8, that's not even the most strikeouts.
I know.
That I have to say.
Yeah, we're fucking.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's why I think like him and Schwarber are kind of tied with that because Schwarber had 7 strikeouts. So.
Yeah. The only upside to that is the fact that Schwarber was ended up hitting 5 home runs.
Yeah.
But to that point, that's the only fucking thing he can do. He's not going to get you singles or doubles or anything like that. I mean, he had the 1 double that I'm still trying to figure out how it ended up being a fucking double for him. But no, JT is. Look, he had a frustrating year too.
Yes, he did.
And he we know that his value is based upon the fact that he is the best catcher in baseball. He's going to call probably one of the better games when it comes to a catcher. He is one of the best at doing it. And I felt like that he finally started to come into his own in the postseason. It's just unfortunate that I think if he had been afforded some better bats later in the lineup, when we get into these next three, that he probably ended up could have been more of a factor and potentially scoring more runs for us, and it would have been, you know, just it's an unfortunate circumstance we found ourselves in, that we were swinging at the fucking garbage that we were swinging at because every one of them was doing it.
Yep.
And they knew, and the Arizona pitching staff knew that we were going to.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Castellanos.
Son of a bitch.
This was by far the most
Upsetting.
disappointing I was in a player offensively.
Yep.
So he had 24 at bats. He had only one run, only one hit. He had 2 RBIs. He did have 1 home run, so I guess there's that. He got walked twice. He struck out 11 times. His average, can I just tell you, when we started this series, Castellanos' average was a .370. After this series is over, he is now a .213.
From hero to zero, right?
You can say that one again. I don't know what was going on, but he was awful. He was terrible.
He swung. I'm pretty sure the one at bat he swung at all 3 pitches that he was. It was like 1, 2, 3, like just fucking down. He swung at anything that was coming even remotely close to him.
Yeah.
And I think I actually saw an interview. I think he said he flat out said I wasn't seeing the ball. Like I was not seeing it. And it's
obvious.
He looked like the Castellanos that was swinging at the fucking garbage from last year. It looked exactly like the guy from last year.
Yeah, I think too, like, and this is with a lot of the players, is they were getting so frustrated that every time they were at bat, they were just trying to hit it out of the park. Like they weren't even trying to play small ball.
And this is kind of one of the things that I kind of wanted to touch on before we jumped into Phillies news after this. We seriously need to evaluate where we're valuing our hitting in regards to the pieces and where we want to position them. Mm-hmm. And we don't need to be swinging for power. You got some of these. You got some of these guys that, just fucking hit a single.
Yes,
get some guys on base, right? And figure this out. And this is kind of the frustration that I'm having with Harper, because every time that Harper seems like he's swinging at something, he's swinging upward because he's trying to fucking knock the ball out of the park, and this is the part that frustrates me most with him. And that's fine because he's trying to bring energy into it, and he's one of the best at doing that. Mm-hmm. But not everything needs to be a fucking home run. We left the bases loaded. The fucking bases loaded yesterday.
We have left, to be fair, we have left the bases loaded so many times this entire season. It's pathetic.
Right. But I mean, just in this particular sense, we left the bases loaded with 1 fucking out. Or no outs, rather. I think it was no outs. Pathetic. And the guy got out of the inning. Without, because all he needed to do was make sure that he got to the bottom of the lineup, which they put Marsh on base because Marsh is somewhat proven to be effective in getting some singles every now and again. So I think that's why they avoided that one. But Castellanos was a surefire lockout because they knew he was going to swing at any fucking thing that they put across the plate.
Yeah.
So there you go. You just gave yourself 2 outs. Okay, now let's pitch around Marsh, put him on fucking base, and then we can just go ahead and throw to Soto or Rojas because we know he's gonna fucking strike out. I mean,
Yep.
it got to be so fucking predictable. And instead of Rob pulling a fucking plug on Rojas at that point in time, when you had the ability to be able to do it, if you were gonna swap anybody out at that point in time, you should have swapped out Rojas. And if you thought Jay Cave was the fucking hot bet, which that ended up not being obviously the case, but I mean, if you're gonna do it, that was the time to make the change, and you chose not to do it because for whatever fucking reason. I did, and we'll get into Rojas and that stat line
Yeah.
because that was
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Marsh. He had 24 at bats. He had no runs for the whole series. He did have 8 hits. He had 3 RBIs and he was walked 3 times. He struck out 10 times. So that was also really terrible. His average is a .342.
he I think a lot of it has to do with his positioning in the lineup.
Yes.
Um,
Solid point.
to a degree.
Yes, because he needed other people on the bases.
You're right. You're not well that, and then you need to have somebody that's going to be able to hit the ball behind you, and
Yes.
you're not going to score any runs if you're relying on Rojas to be the guy to get you those runs.
Yeah, and it
So-
was almost kind of like they just wanted to hurry up, like get Rojas out of the way, and then hope for Kyle Schwarber to come up to get Marsh home, and it just wasn't happening.
And that's you can't manage a baseball team that way.
Right.
If that's not working for you, and you know that Marsh is going to get on base because Marsh is seeing the ball well, then change the fucking lineup.
Yep.
You knew Castellanos was playing like shit. Rearrange this, because I think at one point when Casty was hitting the ball effectively, wasn't he hitting 5?
Yes.
And they moved him down to 7.
Yes.
Okay, fucking why?
I don't know.
I mean, and you changed the lineup at this point in the series, or at this point in the postseason. Bohm wasn't getting you shit for the first fucking 2 series of it, and then all of a sudden you're going to change him to being your number 5 hitter. Now I don't know if there's some scouting, the sabermetrics or whatever fucking wonky shit the Phillies are using to be able to calculate this shit, but at some point, you either got it or you don't. You need to make the fucking decision on how you want to essentially build this lineup to be able to make sure that we're able to get the runs where we need to get the runs.
Yeah.
If you know all these guys are going to get on base, well then put somebody behind fucking Bryce Harper that is going to be able to drive in the runs.
Yeah.
Or at least, I mean, there's 1,000 different ways that they could have did this, and Rob chose not to do any of them. So it just
very frustrating.
The frustrations for me mounted. I mean, I texted you last night when it got to the 7th inning and I saw Bryce strike out. I was like, I'm going to fucking bed. I was like, because this is over. This is it. Like that was it. Our fucking hopes and dreams just went down the tubes right there because that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's so stereotypical of everything that we had going with this season, because everything we loved about Topper last year is everything we're hating about Topper this year. And it fucking baffles me because he went from the penthouse to the shithouse in one season.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Rojas. He had 22 at-bats. He had 1 run, 3 hits. He struck out 6 times. His average is a .093. I mean, I think that says everything right there. The only reason why Rojas was in the lineup is because we wanted his defense. That's the only reason.
That's a valid need.
Sure.
But we also know we're fire Topper. Get the fuck out of here, Brendan. We ain't gonna fire him now.
Hold on, I have to say it. It's the last show. I have to say it. God damn it, Brandon.
There you go.
Yeah, don't fire him. Don't fire him. He made
Yeah,
some shitty choices.
I'm not calling for fucking Rob to be burnt at the stake just yet, but it is you know, Rojas. He is he's got a bright future, but I think there's some developmental things that probably need to happen. And I think he might need to go back down for a little while.
It's quite possible.
I think that is I think he is I give him half a season and he does this again. He needs to go. Damn, Brandon, you are fucking ruthless.
Oh, Brandon.
No, it's just his defensive ability is not going to outweigh his offensive ability for that long, and that's ultimately what it boils down to. You know, Harper's gonna be fucking healthy next year.
Yeah.
And he's going to move back out to right field.
Yeah.
It opens up opportunities. Marsh can move back to center. You can put Cassie in left, Forbes at fucking DH, and we can play this game all over again.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to figure out who the first baseman is. I'm kidding, Rach. I think Reese comes back.
Okay, I have to ask the question because somebody asked me this, and I was curious what your answer would be.
I think Reese is back.
Do you think if Rhys Hoskins never got injured and was out, do you think we would have made the World Series?
No. No, because
I
I
wanted
don't
to
think
crumple this up and just throw it.
No, because there's a lot more factors that come into play outside of Rhys Hoskins being in the lineup.
True.
There's way too many factors. You still have to deal with the fact that Greg Kimbrell or whatever the fuck his name is, you still have to deal with the fact that he pitched like shit. You still have to deal with the fact that Rob is so stuck in his fucking ways that he needed to. I gotta do what's worked for us all year and continue to do that. It's a wash. I don't know that Reese was going to be the difference maker in that regard. Does it give you some ability to be able to have a more effective lineup? Sure, but I think we still need to figure out the value of that, because Bryce was not going to go back out to the outfield. So you put Reese in at first base, right? You throw Harp in a DH at that point, right? Yeah, I mean, where else can you use him at? You're going to need to use him. It's not like you can just go, oh well, we're going to go ahead and fucking bench the MVP. That's it. So let's do that. Okay, so then where do you throw Kyle Schwarber?
Exactly.
And that's kind of where I'm at, because if you're throwing the value added of using Rojas in that defensive capacity, knock the microphone over. If you throw Rojas into it where he's being utilized in that defensive capacity, okay, that's all well and good, but it is at that point you okay, so you remove Rojas from it, you move Marsh, and then you put Kyle Schwarber out in right field, which not very many people are going to hit to right. But then again, you saw how much of a defensive impact Castellanos had to make in some aspects. Castellanos ended up becoming very essential in the right field aspect, and he's quicker than fucking Kyle Schwarber. So there's a lot of factors that play into this that need to get laid flat before you roll all this stuff, because you're gonna have to move some bodies and figure out what looks right, and I don't necessarily know what right looks like right now. I mean, until we know 100% that Bryce is 100% healthy and good to go back out into right field, you can't do that, and then you can't obviously remove him from the lineup. So that's ultimately what this boils down to. You know what I mean? So I just don't know that Reese necessarily would have been the difference maker. I think, it takes a lot more, and that's the beauty of the game of baseball. It takes a lot more than just one guy to be the game changer. I mean, a home run does change the game, but baseball is a team sport, and you need all the people to be able to be effective, and the rest of the team just fucking wasn't.
All right, last player we're going to talk about is Jake Cave. He had 3 at-bats with 1 hit and 1 strikeout. His average was
Nope.
.333. He was the guy that ended the game yesterday.
Nope.
What?
Nope.
Yeah.
Don't understand it. Really don't fucking. I mean, I looked
I
at this,
texted you and I was like,
Yeah.
Jake fucking Cave, are you serious?
and then I looked at. So I looked at the sabermetrics on like where on his effectiveness of hitting. Like, you know how you got they got the breakdown of the 9 fucking. This dude is essentially only effective middle, outside, and straight down the middle. Outside of that, it's .1 108, 109, 138. I mean, like, that's who you are choosing to utilize. Now, this might have been based off of postseason statistics in regard, as opposed to a combo of the two regular season statistics as well. But even still, if that's where I just I don't get it. You know it that one I don't understand from Rob. It's a weird one.
Yeah. I didn't get it at all. I was not a fan, and I was pretty upset about it.
So who would you have utilized it? Because that is, you had to do something.
Right.
Pache was clearly not going to be the guy. It just Pache was put in the situation because they knew Rojas was fucking hot garbage at that point, and Pache got put in for purposes.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I really don't know who I would put in.
And that's you know what I mean. Which I think kind of speaks to the fact that there's some reevaluation that needs to happen with this team and the build out of the way that this team is going.
Yeah.
If Hoskins had been activated, that would have been a great spot for Hoskins to come into play.
Perfect spot.
Right. But Hoskins wasn't. So this is this is kind of one of them things that we need to reevaluate the roster and how it's built, and really get after some postseason moves to build this team for a sustained run, as opposed to a flash in the pan.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get into Phillies news and talk a little bit about that. So, my computer is so screwed up.
Why?
NLCS. All right. So Brandon wrote a comment, and this is obviously I don't have Phillies news because the season's over. But there's a lot of things that could be happening in this offseason, and I wanted to get thoughts, opinions, and what you would like to see happen.
Nola's got to go.
Agreed.
And I think Reese gets a stay of execution only because he didn't have an opportunity to be able to prove himself this year.
Man, I hope
so.
you're right.
So I think Reese is going to be back. There's, I mean, if the amount of things that are happening in MLB already, just in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you see the Phillies tempting or even looking at Ohtani?
um, ooh, that's interesting. I mean, who fucking wouldn't entertain it?
Right?
You know what I mean? Now, realistically, do we think that that is going to be I think Trout would be a great fit. Here's my hang up with Trout. Okay, so Marsh is gone at that point. You bring Trout in, Marsh is gone.
That one would be hard for me to see happen.
I could take it or leave it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I love Brandon Marsh. I think is a great baseball player. And he came in at a time when the team needed him last year. And he proved to be very effective. But honestly, I could take or leave Marsh. Because then obviously Trout's going to take over center field at that point. Or then again, you could even fucking send down Rojas, move Marsh to left, and I mean the possibilities are fucking endless on that one.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
Because I think Castellanos will play left.
so Casty plays left, Harp plays center, or Harp plays right,
center, right.
and then Trout plays center, and then what? Schwarb's DH.
Yes, Schwarbs has to be the DH.
And then Hoskins at first, Stoddy at second, Turner short, and then Bohm at third.
I don't know, but
Then you send Rojas down, and then you have Marsh off the bench, which is a little bit more appealing as far as somebody to fucking hit off of your bench as opposed to a Jake Cave or a fucking Christian Pache.
Yeah.
But Marsh is worth a lot more than that to somebody else, and you potentially risk the ability of him walking, but you also have the ability to leverage that for trade value. Shohei Ohtani is a little bit more interesting of a prospect because of his ability to pitch and do some of these things. Right, and hit as well. But the price tag on that motherfucker is going to be huge,
astronomical.
Yeah. He is set to earn some fucking money. I mean, manager moves and fucking ownership moves are happening already across the MLB at this point. And obviously, player moves can't happen for quite some time.
I will say that I do think that the Phillies need to look at pitching this offseason for sure.
So when you say pitching, are you thinking more along the lines of relief, or are you thinking on the starting?
I'm going to go with starter because I think Nola is gone.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. And is there anybody out there that you think is a good potential?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, everybody would love to have Ohtani. You're lying if you say you don't.
Well, yeah.
In a perfect world, this season we would have had Andrew Painter playing uninjured and developing him more. And I think that could have really been a potential possibility if there was a Nola situation where he's gone. So, and I know obviously the Phillies are still very invested in Painter, but I don't know. I really don't know. What about you?
Blake Snell is available. It's an intriguing one.
Yeah, I don't see him being a Phil. I mean, maybe.
We're going to be looking for a closer because I don't think Craig Kimbrell is going to be around.
Brandon just said that same thing. Need a closer.
Josh Hader's out there. He's going on free agency too.
Hader would be a good one.
Hader would
He
be a
would be
very
a good
good
one.
Yep. That one's kind of intriguing to me. I mean, Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger's available too, but he's getting up there in age.
I don't
Not
want him.
necessarily something I don't know that we would necessarily want as a potential first baseman option as well. So I mean, there is all kinds of intriguing things that are going to be happening as far as free agency goes.
Absolutely.
That's the we're looking at. I think the Phillies are going to be buyers in a lot of this.
I think they have to be.
Yeah. I mean, fuck. Altuve is going to be available. Goldschmidt. Cole, Verlander, Scherzer, Burns.
No. I don't want them.
Well, is Wheeler a free agent this year?
I don't know.
Show up on this list here.
I thought he had one more year left.
Yeah, this is 2024, 2025. I think. Yeah, free agents 2024, 2025.
Well, regardless, there's plenty of options out there. Phillies definitely need to make some moves.
Yeah. I mean, and I think you got to go both. You got to go both routes. You got to look at both starting and relief pitching. And I think that you'd be remiss in not potentially going after some young prospects and building out this farm system a little bit more too, and strengthening that bench for when things go wrong. Because we know that I don't want to say that we're prone to injuries, but we have injury tendencies.
Yes.
So being able to have somebody in your farm system to be able to call up to fill in the interim is going to be a huge one. So
Absolutely. Brandon wants to know if Wheeler returns after next year. I don't know. We got to wait and see how his year goes. I think that's too soon to even think about.
It's way too early to tell. But I think Nola's gone. It's just a matter of I don't know. Do you do a sign and trade deal? That's the real fucking question. Do you try and procure some value for this kid, or do you let him walk away in free agency and say good luck, see you later, come back to us when nobody wants you, and you're going to take a fucking pay cut? Because I think that's ultimately what's going to end up happening.
We will definitely see.
Yeah,
I can't wait to find out.
No, I can't wait either.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to Rachel's mom joke. I will admit, this one is stupid.
Okay.
But it's so funny. Okay. I was inspired by this one. Why did the coffee call the police?
Why?
Because it got mugged.
You're fucking so stupid.
Oh my god. I laughed so hard at that.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
So fucking dumb.
All right, guys. Well, unfortunately, the Phillies season is over, which means fan lot season is over. We will, of course, be back next year. We'll keep everybody updated if there's any new changes during the off season. Continue to check out Old City Sports Network. You can check Tommy out on Birds the Word. Go Eagles.
The bird.
Absolutely. And check out the website. Follow everybody on social medias. We're all out there. And thank you for a fantastic season. Obviously not the way we wanted this to end, but we appreciate all the love and support that you guys have given us this year. And we will see you next season.
Yep.
All right. I could say go Phils, but yay World Series.
Yeah.
We'll end it at that.
Yep. Absolutely.